morning, welcome back to the channel and a bit of an update video. Things have changed. I don't know how to tell you this, and this is going to disappoint quite a few of you, but I've had to sell George the Allegro. Now, before everyone starts screaming at me, it wasn't an easy decision. For ages now I wanted to get another Allegro back on the road and own another Allegro, but there were certain things that I couldn't get sorted with it within my budget, and second time around it just didn't feel the same as owning my first one. I don't know what it was, but I don't know, maybe you shouldn't go there again. So I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed, and believe me, it's not something I wanted to do in a hurry. I thought long and hard about it. Although part of me enjoys getting the cars back on the road and giving them another lease of life, so I kind of done that with George. I got to a stage where he was usable again, because he'd been set up for 40 years. So there were certain financial things behind why I sold George, and also there were certain things that needed preparing that I'd just not be able to have I just not have the money and the time to do. So sadly I've made the tough decision, and believe me, it was tough to get rid of him. I thought long and hard about it. I spent many hours in front of the computer trying to soak up what I wanted to buy next, and this car just turned up on Facebook Marketplace. I wasn't particularly looking for it, but this is a car I wanted since the 1980s as a kid. It's really low mileage, in amazing condition. There aren't many of these left, and this particular model is one or two left of the known to the owners clubs, so it really is rare. Yeah, so I'll pull over now, we're going to have a walk around and you can see what I bought, and then we'll go for a test drive. Another test drive, because this is a test drive. So yes, I bought a Citroen BX, and not any Citroen BX, but a BX Flight, one of the two known to the owners clubs, and this is potentially the only one that's taxed and currently on the road. How did I acquire this? Facebook Marketplace, of course. I was looking through classic cars, like I said in the introduction, and this came up. Now, as a child back in the, I'd say, early 90s, there was one parked across the road from me, and I was always in awe of these cars, thinking I'd love to own one day. As time passed on, the values of them has gone up, and I never really had the chance to buy one until now. So I spoke to the owner, who was very passionate, an older chap called Peter. He's a massive Citroen enthusiast, a massive classic car nut like myself. He'd had the car for a number of years, not really done a lot with it. He then decided to pass it on to a friend of his. He had it for 2 or 3 years, but then sadly that chap passed away, and the family got in contact with him and said, would you like the car back? So he bought a collection back off his friends' family, and then he decided within sort of a few months or so that really he ought to thin his fleet down, because he's not going to get round to working on all these cars, and this was the most up together one of the fleet, so it makes sense just to sell it on. Okay, he can work on some others. But yeah, he had some amazing cars. Great chap, Peter. Very knowledgeable. He had a Citroen DS convertible, a Merc SL, 3 or 4 other BXs, a CX Estate Turbo. Yeah, a lot of cars. So yeah, we were in totally in awe. We drove up last Sunday morning, got there about lunchtime, had a cup of tea, went over to the car, took it for a test drive. Instantly very happy with it. I could tell it's a very low mileage. It's actually got just under 32,000 miles, and that is genuine, backed up with a stack of service history. It's not really had much use over the last few years. Just been MOT recently, the cam belt's been done, as has the Octopus. The suspension pipes have been replaced because there was a previous leak on one of the rear cylinders, I believe. I've had a good look over it. I'm very happy with it. It's a very solid original car. It's had a little bit of paintwork in places, but that's not the end of the world. It's to be expected really with a car that's silver. A lot of these suffer with lack of damage, so the roof and the bonnet has been blown in, and it's all the better for it. There's still a couple of areas that need a bit of attention, but I'll get to that in time. I will do. I know I will do, because I thoroughly plan to keep this car. It's so original. Being a BX flight, now I don't know if you know about these BX flights, but this is apparently, according to the club and a couple of brochures I've come across, it was the UK limited edition. Insert Hubnut terminology here, but there are blanking plugs ahoy. Everywhere I look there's blanking plugs. Where there would be a digital clock on the dash, there's just a massive blank, but there's a quartz clock in the instrument cluster, which doesn't work. There's blanking plugs down by where there would be fog light switches, and there's also blanking plugs on the centre console where there will be heated seat switches, and there's also blanking plugs on the door pillars where there will be electric windows. So centre console, you have indicator and rear wipers on one side, and onto the other you've got rear demister and rear fog. That's where your clock would be. You've got a very handy little coin holder. Look at that, isn't that cute? And if you're that way inclined, you can have a cigar as well. Original radio, let's see if this works.
So yeah, we've now got this interconnectivity between all the populations.
Marvellous, that works. 5-speed box, and you've got a reminder that it is a 5-speed box, so all of the gears. These are your height controls. That's to lower the vehicle, that's sort of medium standard settings, and that's for high rider. And if you're changing the wheel over, I believe that's the mode you want to put it into. I've not tried that yet. That's going to be interesting. And yes, blanking plugs ahoy. Mr. Hubnut will be very impressed with that. Even the original Citroen mats. Look at that. So when the suspension is working well on these cars, it's an experience you won't get in any other vehicle. It just glides over the roads, so composed. I don't know why I've held off on buying one of these for so long. Maybe I just wasn't looking, or the money wasn't right at the time, but I actually paid less than $2,500 for this car, and that's cheap for one of these because the value is going up. So we're out towards Bewley today for a bit of a run. I'm going to go and see my friend Bruce this afternoon for a cup of tea, which would be nice. I can show him the car because he's not seen this yet in the flesh. In fact, I've only had it 3 days. Today's Wednesday, and at the risk of turning into a bit of a waffle Wednesday, Ricky Matthews, as you're watching, this is just a bit of a blog and an update for you guys that have been following the channel. Again, apologies about George. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but the second time around it just didn't feel right, and he needed more work than I had the money to put into him. So I've sold him to a trader, so he might turn up on eBay at some point, but I think the chap who's bought him is going to do some more head work on the vehicle. But this wasn't about George today, this is about the BX. So, comments please. I need a name for this car. Maybe something beginning with B. I was thinking Betty, but then Mr. Hubnut's done that on his on one of his cars. So Bernard. No, I can't call it Bernard the BX. Actually, no. I did have a joke with a friend of mine on Sunday when we were picking this car up. I said, well, what was big in the 80s? And then I thought, Christopher Biggins was big in the 80s, but I can't call this Christopher Biggins the BX. I just can't. Although that would be quite amusing. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling now, go home, have a cup of tea, and then, yes, I'll catch up with you in the next video. This has just been a bit of an update for you guys today watching the channel, so thanks so much. And, yeah, I shall see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye from me, and bye-bye from Mr. Biggins. Goodbye.